Another key word that's very important to be aware of is Advaita. Advaita literally translates as non-dual. There was a fellow around about 1200 or so years ago named Shankara that he was a big proponent of Advaita philosophy, of non-dualism. And dualism says there is a this and a that. There's two things going on. Non-dualism, or Advaita, says essentially there's only one absolute reality. Sometimes in our common language, in our cultures, we say, we use terms like the oneness. All is one. Sometimes we'll say all is one because we're all connected. There's a subtlety there. If we say that we're all one because we're all connected, for us to be connected, we have to be separate. And so oneness is not really the same as connectedness. Connectedness implies that we're separate. And a long, long time ago, as sages were talking about this stuff, they came to realize that it's extremely difficult to talk about one or oneness. One of the Mahavakyas, one of the great sentences, is Ekam eva Advaita Brahman, that there is one absolute reality without a second. And you can contemplate on that, and it's the contemplation on these, what are called Mahavakyas, is an important part of the Vedantic piece. But in recognizing how very, very difficult it is to describe oneness, somebody came up with, some smart person or group of people sitting around in a cave or around a campfire or something. It's lost in history exactly where it came from. But this fellow Shankara was a big proponent of this idea. So he's known widely as one of the leading people in Advaita philosophy. The simple notion that if oneness is so difficult to describe, you end up saying, in effect, I cannot describe oneness, but one thing I can say with great confidence, whatever reality is, it's not two. It appears to be one, and I can't really talk about that because I'm here and another person is there, and we certainly appear to be two. I seem to be here, my house seems to be there, my car seems to be there, my job seems to be over there that I go to every day. There certainly appears to be multiplicity out here, and yet we're talking about it as if it's all one, which it is, which is an important part of the contemplation. But when we say it the other way, it can be said, and it's a little easier for the mind to hold the notion. It's playing with the mind. It's playing a head game with the mind. But it's saying, well, this oneness is very difficult to talk about. When I say it's oneness because all of us humans are connected, to have connected we have to be separate. So that doesn't work very well. It's nice to be connected, but that's not oneness. So if it's so difficult to talk about oneness, why not just say that I have this sense that reality is one. I can't talk about it very well, so I'll simply acknowledge the fact that whatever it is that seems to be beyond language to describe, whatever it is, I can say with confidence, it's not two. It's not duality. And that's the meaning of Advaita. Dvaita is two, or duality, or multiplicity. Advaita, when you put A in front of the word in Sanskrit, it means without or not. Just like himsa is harming, and ahimsa is the practice of cultivating an attitude of non-harming. So you put the A in front and you end up with Advaita, non-dualism. Sometimes this is spoken of as Advaita Vedanta. And though it's not talked about so much, if you say, well, if there's Advaita Vedanta, is there such a thing as Dvaita, dualistic Vedanta? Well, there actually is, but Vedanta ultimately is always about Advaita. But if you're talking about the Vedanta practices that we're talking about, that is heading towards the realization of the truth of my true nature as consciousness, then we can approach it through the eyes of seeing that there appears to be dualism. So I'm going to I'm going to enter through the door of dualism, and so I might use language about Advaita or dualism. So dualism is not ultimately in opposition to non-dualism. It's just built in. And all of the various practices or philosophies or tradition have to have some way of accounting for the appearance of duality. So in Vedanta, the classic way of doing it is saying that the one absolute non-dual reality is called Brahman. Brahman is not the name of a god, of a deity with a personality and arms and legs. That's not what Brahman is. Brahman is a word that's used to denote the absolute reality itself.